This is Shannon McClellan with Hometown News, keeping you connected to your hometown. With me today, I have a small business owner from the village of Merrickville, Doug Phillips. Some of you may recognize Doug as being a heating stove specialist. Others may recognize him as a film producer, actor, playwright, and so much more. Lately, Doug has been making headlines with the release of the film that he wrote and co-starred in, Charlie Chaplin. With me is Doug Phillips to give us all of the details. All right, so Doug Phillips, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share with the community the exciting things that you've been up to.
You're welcome, Shannon. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So before we dive right into Charlie Chaplin, which I understand is now available on DVD, digital, and on demand through such places as Amazon Prime and iTunes, let's first talk a little bit about the fact that you are by trade a stonemason, a heating specialist. How do you find the time then to be an actor, film producer, a writer? Let's talk a little bit about the journey that's taken you here.
I don't sleep much. I'm a stonemason by trade. When I emigrated from Britain to Canada, that's what I was doing. But of course, there's not that much work in the winter here because it gets cold. I hadn't factored that into my grand plans at the time. So being a fireplace and chimney specialist, I went back and got wet certified and started a company, Hearthstone Stoves, that specializes in wood and pellet heating, which I still run because, I'm not exactly mega rich from the acting gigs yet or the writing gigs. So, I still do that. But then 14 years back, I fell off a roof and bust both my legs up pretty bad. And I couldn't play golf in my spare time anymore because I cannot coil properly. So my daughter was an actress, so I wrote a stage play for her to be in with me. And the play did really well at a festival, which kind of confused me. But then I took that to the Ottawa School of Speech and Drama, and their playwriting tutor read it and said, "This is really good. Make it an hour and 20 minutes long, and I'll get you a professional production." I did, and he did, and it got amazing reviews on the CBC. So I wrote another one, and that one got nominated for Best Professional Production in the Capital Region at the Critics Awards, which are the awards we really care about. That one then got made into a film, and the director of the film and director of photography, Adrian Langley, and I became good friends. And over the next few years, I'd just help him out a little with his films, some short films and stuff, mainly doing crew and production work. And I was still writing and producing plays. And I did rather well at that. 8 of them got professionally produced. A couple of them toured. I got to perform in New York City for a month. So it was a very strange journey for a stonemason, but a fun one. And then 3 years back, Adrian asked me if he could make a film at my property, and I could co-produce it with him, and I did. And that film, Butchers, is now out on Amazon Prime and did very well at horror film festivals all over the world. It's kind of ironic and funny because I don't even watch horror films, but we made one and it did well. So people I met through that production, Simon Phillips in particular, then offered me a job as production designer for his film company, and went on. And we went off to Las Vegas. I wrote a film for Simon's company called Charlie Chaplin, which is the one we're here to talk about. And that came out this week. It's on Amazon Prime in the US, but in Canada it's on iTunes, Apple TV, and Google Play. Or you can buy the DVD in Canada on Amazon Prime. And we're now going to be shooting the sequel this summer in Memphis, where we're going to dig up Elvis Presley this time. So,
I love this. So let's let our folks at home know a little bit about what they can expect with Charlie Chaplin. So I understand, Doug, so you wrote this film and you co-starred in this alongside British actor Simon Phillips. And the film is basically a dark comedy, from what I understand, based around these two conmen that dig up Charlie Chaplin's body.
Correct. It's I describe it as a dark caper comedy. It's a very dry comedy because, you know, I'm English and we're like that. And yeah, in real life, two idiot brothers did dig up Charlie Chaplin's body, and they were completely inept and useless. And Charlie Chaplin is now returned to his original gravesite and buried under 10 tons of concrete. So you can't do it again. But then that actually happened in Switzerland, whereas we took a bit of a liberty and we dug him up in Las Vegas. I mean, it's cinema, right? We take some liberties. So yeah, we took the true story as the concept, but then I put totally my own spin on it. And it's about these two alcoholic, drunken, inept, bumbling brothers, and there's strippers and bent policemen and gangsters and drug deals and all sorts of stuff going on
All
within
the fun
the
stuff.
story.
For folks at home, this is rated R, just so that you're aware.
Yes,
Don't watch
yes,
this.
this isn't for the little kids, this one. No. It is partly set in a strip club. But we wanted to show Vegas as Vegas really is, not Vegas as glitzy casinos. I mean, Vegas's underbelly is where we decided to dwell. Yeah.
Now, I understand that in Vegas, you had a few hiccups, and those hiccups led to Wayne Newton being a part of the film. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Wayne was in a small cameo in the film, and I wrote his daughter in as a part. We gave her a part as one of the waitresses in a diner where the film's partly set. But the problem was we had to dig up Charlie Chaplin. That's the whole film. If you don't dig up Charlie Chaplin, we don't have a film. And the cemetery we had booked as a location backed out. Unfortunately, Wayne Newton stepped forward. We were filming with him that day and said, well, dig him up in my backyard, which we kind of laughed at until we saw his backyard, because it is 27 acres of lush green horse farm in the center of Las Vegas. And we created a cemetery in Wayne Newton's horse farm, and that's where we dug Charlie Chaplin up. Yeah, it was really nice of him. So then we put his wife in the film as well as the news reporter at the graveside vigil.
Excellent. So lots of fun stuff for people to watch for in Stealing Chaplin. We won't give away too much more of the movie so that way folks at home can rush out and watch it. So it is available right now on iTunes and not yet on Canada's Amazon Prime, but you can get it on DVD. So we will post a few links in the description box of this video to make it easy for folks to find. Now, Doug, I understand too, you just mentioned that you wrapped up 2 other films, so people should be watching for those in the near future as well.
Yeah, these films are completely different in tone, storyline, and everything else from Stealing Chaplin. Ash and Dust was written and directed by my good friend Adrian Langley, and I'm in it, and Simon from Chaplin is in it, and the 3 of us co-produced it, and we filmed that over the months of December and January in and around the Merrickville area and in the village of Athens, Ontario. And February, which is a film I wrote, produced, co-directed with Adrian Langley and co-produced with Adrian Langley and played one of the leads in, we filmed in Smiths Falls. And that is in post-production currently. Ash and Dust is just about finished and is entered into the festival circuit. So I can't give you any definite news on where you can see those 2, but those 2 are finished and well, finished shooting, but getting post-production done on now. Yeah, so we've been busy.
Well, congratulations. It's wonderful to see. We were talking earlier about how during lockdown, so many people have found themselves with nothing to do, yet the creatives, the arts industry just seems to have exploded in many different ways. So that's wonderful to see, providing lots of entertainment for all of those who are at home stuck with nothing to do during the lockdown. So we thank you for that. And also, I understand you have a book that you've written as well. So folks at home, there will be a more in-depth article that you can read about all of the wonderful things that Doug Phillips has been up to and has on the horizon, coming out in our June edition of our print paper for Hometown News. So Doug, can you give us just a little snippet about what the book is about? Just a little bit of an outline.
The book is called The Poets, And I called it that because it's set in a public housing, a council estate, as we call them in northwest London in 1981. And I called all the tower blocks after poets, Coleridge and so on, Wordsworth, just because the ugliness and darkness of the place, I thought it's somewhat ironic to call it that. But it's a book about a group of punk rockers in 1981 in London, England, which ends on the day of Charles and Diana's wedding. And I did that deliberately just because you can't be more extreme in British society than unemployed punk rockers and the royal wedding. It's, you know, I'm trying to make a comment on the ills in our society. So I think of it as Train Spotting, which is one of my favorite films and books by Irving Welsh, but with politics, because we're dealing with Margaret Thatcher, etc., in the framework of the story. So it's something of a coming of age story from 1981. Yeah.
Fantastic. So you can read more about Doug's book that'll be coming out in our June edition of Hometown News. Well, thank you so much, Doug, for taking time to speak with us today. And everybody at home, make sure you get out there, hop on iTunes, and check out Stealing Chaplin. This is Shannon McClellan with Hometown News. Together, we are community strong.